few weeks ago, I became emotionally invested in something I didn't even know existed. Not a sport, not a game, not even a thing I'd heard about before. I was sitting there genuinely stressed out over the outcome of a Rakugo performance. And if you're anything like me, your first question is probably, what the heck is Rakugo? It's a form of Japanese storytelling where one performer sits on a cushion and plays every character in a story themselves. That's it. No superpowers, no explosions, no life or death stakes. And somehow I was watching it like my life depended on it. But the weird part is that this isn't the first time anime has done this to me. Whether it was volleyball, music, art, or just fucking cooking, anime has this way of presenting these otherwise foreign concepts and making them so dang relatable. So how do they keep doing this? How do they keep getting away with it? To find it out, we can take a look at Akane Banashi, this new anime about Rakugo that made me start to think about this phenomenon probably more than I should have. But maybe by dissecting it, we can find the deep-rooted reason why these stories speak to and inspire us so deeply. Interestingly, the story of Akane Banashi doesn't start with the main character Akane, but rather with her father. He is a Rakugoka, a person performing Rakugo, and through his love of this art, Akane also finds herself wanting to be just like her father. Here we already get a hint to how and why these stories speak to us so profoundly, but a bit more on that later. First, to finish up the context. You see, in Rakugo, there are 3 ranks a Rakugoka can achieve: Zenza, Futatsume, and Shunichi. And Akane's father is trying out for an exam that will promote him to Shinuchi, the pinnacle of this art. And although he gives a masterful performance, the best Rakugoka of this time and the authority on all things Rakugo is disappointed by everyone's performance during the exam, so much so he expelled all of them from the world of Rakugo, shattering one man's lifelong dream but starting his daughter's in the process. If this sounds a bit too shonen-y, that's because, well, it is. While training, Rakugo performers have masters that teach them everything. Akane also has other fellow Rakugoka learning under the same master or senpai, and each one of them have different styles of approaching Rakugo. They all teach her different techniques which Akane uses to better herself. There's even a fucking tournament arc in the first 12 episodes. And it was during this tournament that I realized something I should have realized 300 anime ago. All of our lives are shonen. It sounds dumb but makes sense at the same time. But really, no matter what the activity is, the shonen formula works. Whatever we do, we have people that teach us. We struggle, we have what we perceive as career-ending battles, tournaments, etc. The reason these stories about shogi, music, cooking, football can work so well in anime and why they are always so relatable is because they use a common shonen formula. But the formula itself has a way deeper meaning behind itself. It's a formula that's filled with struggle, perseverance, and ultimately prevail. Akane Banashi uses those tropes and makes something as foreign as Rakugo genuinely gripping. But it also goes a step beyond and introduces a very interesting element into its story, one which these types of anime usually skip. People in general love to make fun of weird activities others do, or just even perfectly normal ones that they themselves don't understand. And it's even worse in the case of adults and children. Imagine this, your child pulls up to you and says, "Mommy, Daddy, I want to be a YouTuber when I grow up." On the spot, I would shoot myself in the face. Akane Banashi does just that. Not the gun thing. In the typical shonen people do everyday activities fashion, most adults around Akane are either supportive of her dream to become a Rakugoka or just deep into the culture that they are at the very least understanding about it, like her parents. But then we get introduced to her teacher, and dibs by the way, but she's very adamant that Akane would mess her life up if she were to just focus on Rakugo. To skip ahead, after some time Akane manages to convince her teacher that she at the very least is serious about Rakugo. But after some time the teacher realizes, Rakugo is like anything else. These performers struggle, learn, laugh, and ultimately fail or make it, just like everyone else. In a way, she's the audience character, where not only does she fill the role of the person asking questions other knowledgeable people can answer, but just like us during the anime, by watching more and more of these performances and by watching these people, we realize, Rakugo is kinda cool. The shonen formula works because it mirrors real life. Yeah, it cuts out a lot of repetition and details, but it leaves core values which you can adapt to anything in life. That's why I think you can essentially make a shonen about anything, and Akane Banashi uses it so well. It understands its premise of Rakugo and the form of telling stories through shonen so well it mixes them together to deliver an experience that's unique to Rakugo. Just like the greats like Haikyuu or Food Wars understand what's hype and great about volleyball and cooking, high-stress action where every mistake is a point lost and every paid-off gamble leads closer to victory, and the deep knowledge of the world and finding new and unique ways to bring out the best flavor out of ingredients available. And titties. One of the most unique and deep fourth wall breaks this anime did was during this super important tournament which Akane was a part of. If she wins, she gets to talk to the guy that expelled her father all these years ago and directly find out why. So the stakes are big, and for the past 2 episodes before Akane's performance, we got to see Akane's rivals destroy the competition. We saw their backstories, thoughts, and unique and excellent ways of performing Rakugo. And then it's Akane's turn, and her performance is chill. The whole episode isn't as loud or dramatic as other ones. That's because in the show itself, Akane decided that the audience would be overstimulated after the past 10 out of 10 banger performances that came before. So the audience would need a more chill one, like a YouTube video you put on in the background while doing something else. And before the reasoning was revealed, I was wondering, why am I so genuinely invested in Akane's performance? When the reason got revealed, it all made sense. Just like the audience in the anime, I myself, or us, the actual audience, was also overwhelmed. I was binging this anime when I watched it, so after 2 episodes of high cortisol, this chilled, laid-back story was just what I needed. Without even knowing, this anime pulled me into its world and got me so invested into it. Now that I make this video more chill so that you can do that as well, therefore proving the point of Akane's move? No. Just like Haikyuu and Food Wars, this anime understands both Rakugo and shonen, and uses both to suck you into this world without you ever noticing. But unlike them, it does so in its own way. It really goes to show how involved everyone was while bringing this story to life. I mean, Akane's voice actors went and learned how to do Rakugo herself. And that just goes to show how versatile and deeply rooted in real life shonen is. Akane in Akane Banashi stands for the main character's name, while Banashi in the context of Rakugo means story. A lot of Rakugo's stories are called something something Banashi. So this anime is like watching a Rakugo performance about Akane's life. It's quite literally called Akane's story. And that is a great thing about Rakugo, the fact that most Rakugo stories are about extremely relatable and everyday mundane stuff. I think that's why this anime was such a great vessel for me to realize just how deeply rooted shonen is in our everyday lives. The reason these stories hit so hard is because we all share common struggles, whether it's sports, jobs, cooking, or simply sitting and telling stories by yourself. Just like how you can hear a story of an athlete struggling and working against the odds to make it, and because of that you suddenly want to cheer them on. You might not even be familiar with the sport, but what you are familiar with is the struggle. So why does anime keep giving me more obsessions? Well, it doesn't. It makes me obsessed with people struggling through life trying to achieve their dreams, fighting with everything they got just to be what they always wanted to be, while the world says they cannot. These activities are just vehicles. The true obsessions come from the human stories underneath.